All right, welcome to another episode of the Backdoor Cut Show, coming to you live on Dash Radio's Nothing But Net channel. You can also find us on the Barn Burner Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget to check out the website, thebarnburner.com. We are recording this on a Sunday night, an NFL Sunday night, and an NBA Sunday night, which is a great thing to have in one Sunday. You will listen to this on Monday. But first, I got to give an NFL shout out to our Memphis guys, Darrell Henderson and Antonio Gibson, former Memphis Tigers, both running backs currently in the NFL, got their first career NFL touchdowns today. And fellow alum Stephen Gostkowski of our Tennessee Titans, Rich,
Yes, sir.
kicked his second game winner since the last time we recorded, and our Tennessee Titans are 2-0, man. If your NFL team ain't 2-0, we can't relate.
We can't relate. I don't know how that feels.
How you feeling about the Titans, man, so far?
Oh man, I'm good. Tighten up, baby. Just it's been a long road. You know what I'm saying? Like we've had some ups, we've had some downs in like recent years. Last year, I think, well, honestly, with the hiring of Vrabel 2 years ago, we kind of got back on the right track. And this year, man, it's been a roller coaster. Like Gostkowski will not let you get comfortable. He's going, screw up a little bit, but when you need him, when it's winning time, he's come through 2 weeks in a row. And you can't knock that. I was a little hesitant this week. AJ Brown, stud, second-year receiver, went down with an injury this past week. Corey Davis has really stepped up. And it was another grinded out win today. Hats off to Jacksonville. They played a hell of a game. They were able to kind of contain Derrick Henry as best as one can contain Derrick Henry. But QB1, he stepped up, had some great throws, led the offense, led the troops, and Gostkowski, University of Memphis Tiger alum, came through in the clutch for those Titans once again. So we 2-0. Looking forward to seeing what happens in Minnesota next week.
Yeah, got a good chance to go 3-0, and just shout out to Ryan Tannehill. He's 11-4 since taking over as a starter, and today was the fifth time he's led the game-winning drive in those 15 games. So a third of his games, he's led a game-winning drive, and like getting through today without another major injury, as we saw so many players in the NFL go down today. The Niners had 3 players go down. They had their quarterback, their starting running back, and their best defensive player. So, just to sit A.J. Brown out, and hopefully we get him back next week, consider ourselves pretty fortunate and sitting pretty as we move forward.
For sure.
And, the Titans are the only football we have right now, because I'm not sure the Tigers are ever going to play another game, dude.
And it's glad the Titans are doing well. They're on top of the division right now. But yeah, Tigers have to cancel another game. Man, I don't know. It's not looking pretty.
So I know you got on your Lakers jersey, but before we get into what we just saw, we got to handle the Grizzlies news first. And on Saturday, the NBA released the voters' ballots for the NBA awards, which was much anticipated in Memphis because Ja Morant was one vote shy of unanimously winning the Rookie of the Year award, which at the end of the day is not a big deal, but it's, the Grizzlies aren't playing. Grizzlies fans need something to get riled up about.
Yeah.
And, why not? We got that chip on our shoulder.
And Ja is just as riled. So I think he's adding to it. Like, he's clearly pressed about it.
Right. So kind of his version of LeBron's I'm pissed off, So and Joe Cowley is the victim here of not voting for Ja Morant. He instead voted for Zion Williamson, and Joe Cowley is a random, of the Chicago Sun-Times. He's not even of the Times-Picayune down in New Orleans.
Right. I just want to say he looks exactly how I thought he would look. Like, seeing his profile picture, he looks like a dweeb that would do something like that.
Yeah, he like a Kmart Woj,
He looks exactly,
great value Woj.
He looks like a great value ass Woj. For real, bro. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, and apparently he's had some, interesting takes. I saw on Twitter that he's no longer allowed to vote for the MLB Hall of Fame because his votes were so atrocious. Now that's on Twitter. I haven't sourced that and fact checked. But I do know he voted for Pat Beverly as Defensive Player of the Year this year, and I mean,
he's a fucking troll.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fucking troll. And what made it even worse was his explanation in a tweet in which he added Ja Morant and said, "Ja is a transcendent player, no arguing that. But the Rookie of the Year should go to the most impactful. The NBA built a TV schedule around Zion and expanded a bubble for Zion. His 24 games were must-see TV. I'll take that 24 and change PER and stand on that side of history." What the fuck is that, Rich?
Just motherfuckers when they be talking about a whole lot of nothing, like that. They didn't even win in the bubble. Like, bro, like what are you talking about? Like,
and he didn't play in most of those games that they built the schedule around. Right. And hell, maybe that's the reason we got this damn ratings decline because they built the schedule.
Pelicans on TV with no Zion every Friday night at 9. Like, come on.
Thank God Brandon Ingram stepped up to the plate, so we had something, to watch. And Drew Holiday's always entertaining, but it wasn't because of Zion.
Watching Josh Hart run around getting defensive rebounds. Like,
right. I mean, hoping Jackson Hayes gets in so we see a poster. Like,
shout out Jackson.
Man, that he should have just not said anything, let it blow over.
Yeah.
Or just said, I think Zion was better in the games he played than Ja was in the games he played. And it's okay, well, that's a fucking dumb take, but okay, at least that's what you're standing on.
Right.
So while we're on awards, let's talk about LeBron's comments saying he was pissed off that he only got 16 of 101 votes for first place for the MVP. Of course, Giannis won it for the second straight year. And, by all counting stats, Giannis had the better season. But why do you think LeBron has a reason to be pissed off at how the voting played out?
I think that his pissed offness doesn't even stem from not winning, right? As a huge LeBron fan, I too agree. Like, Giannis had a hell of a year, back to back. If you're better than the year you won MVP, then yeah, you win MVP again.
Right. And full transparency, I think on our pick show, you and I both picked LeBron.
Oh, it is, yeah, because I'm a ride for my guy. I'm a ride for my guy. Right. I cannot.
But we both said we expected Giannis to win.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't a shock at all when that came out. I think what really stood out to him was the 16 first place votes, right? Like, just the utter, I don't want to say disrespect. I just want to say utter lack of acknowledgement for what this man has done in his 17th year. You know what I'm saying? Basically, 2 years ago, lifting this Lakers franchise out of oblivion, right? Getting AD to come team up. And this dude made a valued effort to want to integrate AD into the team. So he turns around and leads the league in assists for the first time. Like crazy numbers, crazy PER, crazy efficiency rate. And I think it really stemmed from, that 16 first place votes, because it's like, whoa, like I can understand this close finish. I bet. But like, man, he's blowing me out of the water? Really? And I think that's when he came with the comment, like, a lot of these motherfuckers that's voting, y'all really don't watch the games. Mm-hmm. Y'all really don't watch basketball. You might not even know the game of basketball. And it's just, I think that's something that LeBron has had to deal with throughout his career, of just, having such high expectations and then exceeding those expectations. So the goalpost is continually moved. Like, nobody has the bar set for them like he has. And I'm somebody who grew up as a Kobe fan. And so I just kind of grew up like knowing, okay, it's either Kobe LeBron. And, I kind of riled on the decision and all that jazz, Miami years, okay. But I had to turn the tide, man, in 2016 when this man came home and bought a championship to fucking Cleveland and broke up that 3-1 deficit. I'm like, yo, if you don't fuck with dude, you're just a hater. Like, that point blank simple. There's just something in you where you're just like, I don't like this man, like fucking Skip Bayless. And it's just interesting, if you talk to peers around the league. I think I was watching Inside the NBA the other night, and Draymond was on there. Shout out Draymond, by the way. He definitely has a future post his playing career as a broadcaster.
Absolutely great.
Talent, absolutely great. And they were just speaking, and they were just like, yeah, with Giannis being the best player in the league and blah, blah, blah. And Draymond was like, whoa, I got to say, I don't agree with you, sir. Like he's like, I hear you, but LeBron's still the best player in the league. And you know, when you hear about that respect from peers and you hear about the respect of, you know, his teammates and, you know, everything that they've done year in, year out, this man is, you know, if they get through Denver, I mean, they will get through Denver. He's about to play in like his 10th finals. That's fucking crazy, dude. I don't care what your record in the finals is to get to 10 finals, bruh. Like, and you say, oh, he did it in the East. Okay, well, shit, now he went to the fucking West. He's doing it in the West. What's next? You want him to do it on an all-star team? Like, what? Just keep moving the goalpost, dog. But I definitely feel he has a valid point. But, you know, hats off to Giannis. He had a hell of a year. He definitely earned that MVP award. It's just crazy, and it's always an interesting setting when the person who receives the MVP award is already at home and they're chilling and they're just he's in fucking Greece on a video chat accepting his award.
Right.
Hey, what can you do?
And you know, back to Draymond's point, like that is where the disconnect is MVP doesn't mean necessarily that you're the best player in the league. And even more so to LeBron's point of, are these people really watching the games, or are they just saying Giannis has the best stats and the best record, so he automatically gets my vote, which on the surface level is understandable. But when you really dive into it, you'll see that Giannis played 10 more games against teams that didn't get invited to the bubble than the Lakers did. You'll also see that both teams were 500 when Giannis and LeBron were out. You know, so it's just how much are they diving into it, and are these voters actually really doing their homework and going back and watching film? And I think that's what LeBron is trying to say. Not that like you don't watch basketball, like, yeah, we watch the games when, you know, they're on ESPN or whatever. And just for full transparency, I watch more LeBron because I'm out on the West Coast, so I'm able to see him more than I do watch the Bucks, especially in the bubble. You know, the Bucks had a lot of early games, whereas they tried to put the Lakers on late.
You know, I think that's another interesting point, right? In what other instances is a number one seed MVP team, multiple All-Stars, given the shit game throughout the playoffs, given the noon tip, the 2:30 tip, like, so interesting. And, you know,
Right.
Granted, that's 1-8. You're playing Orlando. Okay, I get it. But there's no way in hell, no matter if the Lakers were a 7 seed, that they're playing 3 p.m. game. They're prime time.
Yeah, I
LeBron
mean,
in Cleveland, that's prime time. No ifs, ands, buts about it.
the Bucks just aren't drawing TV numbers.
Not
like
drawing
that.
TV numbers at all.
Not until they win the championship and become, you know, serious must-watch TV. Maybe they're going for a back-to-back repeat, three-peat eventually. But yeah, so that's that on the MVP comments. Again, expected Giannis to win. He deservedly won. But, you know, just as they always say, don't take LeBron for granted. Then just wrapping up the awards, all defensive teams were announced. The first team was Giannis, AD, Ben Simmons, Rudy Gobert, and Marcus Smart. The second team, Brook Lopez, Kawhi, Bam Adebayo, Eric Bledsoe, and Pat Bev. Any thoughts on those? I mean, it sounds about right. I think the one snub is probably Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday for sure. I mean, I think that ties to our other point when you ask other players around the league about somebody, what do they say? When you ask a lot of players around the league about their toughest defender, you hear Drew Holiday's name a lot. Often. Yeah. It's always Drew Holiday, honestly. Who's underrated? Drew Holiday. Who's the toughest defender? Drew Holiday. So very interesting that he wasn't named to either of those teams, because I've seen Drew Holiday, right, like switch, like defending ones, defending fours, defending threes. Like he's crazy. But I mean, you know, I think there were some solid choices on that list. There's nothing that I just wholeheartedly disagree with. The all defensive team was strong. It's solid. And yeah, I mean, you got, of course, Giannis is going to be first team defensive player of the year. AD also first season in LA had a great defensive year also. So nothing that I could really disagree too much with on that one.
Yeah, I guess my only gripe would be $3 for 10 spots is a little much. Like they were great. But
you said Brook Lopez made it, right?
Yeah, I think I would have liked to see PJ Tucker get that. Just on
the strength. My dude is 6'6" in shoes, guarding, like fighting for his life every night against whoever the Rockets throw him out against. Like Come on, man. Give my dude some love.
Yeah, so he was the first forward left off the teams, and I think I would have liked to see him on. I guess Brooke was the center, and I think the center with the most votes who didn't make the team was Embiid. So I don't really have strong feelings either way on that.
Yeah.
But that's the all defensive team. No Grizzlies. I don't know when we'll see another Grizzly on there. Maybe Justice Winslow. He's probably our only hope. Maybe Jaren.
Yeah, maybe Jaren.
But got a long way to go for Jaren. Justice, that'd be dope. And come in and be second team all defense next year.
Yeah.
All right. So to the subject of the night, the Lakers and Nuggets played game 2 after the Lakers pretty handily won game 1. AD basically went ham in game 1, had 37 points. But in the game tonight, LeBron was leading the way in the first half, had like 20 points in the first half, super efficient. Then the second half, the Lakers got stagnant. LeBron, I think he only scored 6 points the rest of the way and really, really struggled. But luckily, Anthony Davis carried the weight, and he was scoring. It seemed like he was the only one that scored in the second half, save for a few big shots by the others. And then the game winner, the Nuggets had fought all the way back, took the lead. And who was it that got blocked out of bounds? Danny Green?
Danny Green.
Blocked out of bounds by Jamal Murray. Your boy, Danny Green. And
I don't know about that.
by the grace of the Laker gods, they get the ball back with 2 seconds left, and Mike Malone subs in Mason Plumlee. The Nuggets have a defensive lapse. Plumlee is guarding AD and tells Grant to switch. Grant doesn't switch, and AD catches the ball on the wing, rises and fires over Jokic for the game-winning 3. As a Lakers fan, your initial reaction to tonight's game and being up 2-0?
Man, initial reactions, so much. Like that first half was great. Like Braun was in his bag for sure. But that second half was not pretty. Definitely some adjustments. There were some lapses. And, I think it's been evident with the Nuggets in the bubble in these playoffs. Like, you can't get comfortable and think this team is just going to lie down. Like, shout out to them. They have no quit in them. They keep fighting. And towards the end, that knockout punch, it was AD and Jokic going back and forth. Like, Jokic, was just scoring and scoring. And I think a very underrated play was, I think Jokic had got a tip on a Jamal Murray shot. And AD literally got the ball, sprinted right down. It hit like a little pull-up, 8 to 10 footer, just to swing some momentum to the Lakers. And I think that shot was huge, because had that been another stagnant dribble possession where, the Lakers just hoisted a shot, it could have got ugly. But AD took it upon himself to make some shit happen. And so when you look at that final play, Jokic once again just backing down. This dude, man, that dude is special, man. But you got, thank the Laker gods that there was a chance to get another possession after that Danny Green. But I'm like, we can't end this on this blocked ass Danny Green shot. So thankfully there was time left on the clock. And according to AD, the play was for Braun. The play was to hit Braun, I believe, at the elbow and let him go to work. And AD basically waved it off. AD said he made eye contact with Rondo and went to go get it. So another underrated substitution is definitely getting Caruso out of there to sub in Rondo, who has more experience in that situation, is definitely going to make the right read, the right pass, because Caruso had a chance. If Caruso would have hit that 3-man, Twitter would have fucking exploded. Because he already had a great game. He was playing solid. He shot that. I'm like, is Caruso about to really be the hero right now? And that shit missed.
Little short.
Yeah. So Vogel, subbed him out and subbed Rondo in, and apparently Rondo, a vet like Rondo has the ability to wave off the play too. So he made that contact with AD, man. And the thing, I knew that shit was good from the second he let it go. Shit was a thing of beauty. He's a fucking cheat code, man. This dude is 7 feet tall, running off of curls, fucking catching the ball in front of the Nuggets bench, deep in front of the Nuggets bench, letting that bitch fly, follow through, talking his shit. That shit was fucking beautiful, man. And you mentioned it earlier, in the Mamba jerseys, what can you do? My pops texted me immediately after the game. He was just like, yo, AD has arrived. And I'm like, yeah, this is that signature moment for him. Like, I don't think he had that signature playoff moment, save for when the Pelicans upset the Blazers, swept the Blazers and gotten that ass. But this is his moment in like Laker lore. And we see now that whenever LeBron is gone, whenever he wears down and he rides off to the sunset, the franchise is still in good hands. Like, this dude is 26, 27. He's only going to get better with time. Just hoping for health and sustainability in his play. But this dude is a problem, dude. Like this, I saw something in him that I hadn't really seen before. Like, I saw that fire, that dog.
Yeah.
Like, I never really seen AD barking at people and talking his shit. And it's like he had to realize and remember who he was. Like, yo, like, I'm that dude. Hold the fuck up. Like, he fucking proved that shit.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying after the game. He said, "I'm like that. I'm like that." Beating
like
his chest. And it did feel like maybe a turning point in his career. Like, I don't want to sound cliche or overplay this one shot. Mm-hmm. But just the whole second half of this game, he carried the Lakers to a win. Like you said, he went shot for shot with Jokic, who was awesome, and Murray, who was making shots.
Yeah.
And AD finished with 31 points, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, and he was 11-23 from the field, 7-7 from the line, and knocked down 2 threes, while LeBron finished with 26, 11 boards, 4 assists. Now, LeBron had, I think it was 6 turnovers. So that was ugly. The Lakers really – the Danny Green had 11, KCP had 11, Kuzma 8, Caruso 9. And, I mean, if AD didn't get that last shot, the Lakers would be getting pummeled because, I mean, Caruso took the one shot. Danny Green took the shot that got blocked, and I want to say Kuzma took the other shot before AD.
That's the one, when Braun kicked it out.
Yep. So just not how you want to go down. The Nuggets definitely they're not the team that's going down without Jokic or Jamal Murray shooting the game winners. And
shout out to PJ Dozier, though. Thank you for those missed free throws, dog.
4, right? 4 in the fourth quarter.
Your 4 missed free throws. Thank you.
So those were definitely big. What a random insert into the lineup from Mike Malone, PJ Dozier, the young fella from South Carolina. And I mean, he was impactful. He only finished with 3 points and, didn't really have a lot of counting stats, but he's had an impact on the game and they were better with him on the floor.
MPJ was over there seething. He was hot.
Yeah.
He was hot.
And I mean, that's just a perfect example of you need someone who can play defense in the playoffs because MPJ had a good offensive game. He had 15 points on 6 of 9 shooting, but Mike Malone just couldn't put him in down the stretch. Yeah. They're going to pick on him. And the Lakers were trying to pick on Murray with the LeBron pick and roll, and it just never worked out in that second half. And you mentioned it earlier, but when the Lakers are getting up and down the court like they were in the first half, which it usually is a result of their defense, they look unstoppable. If you can make them try to beat you in half-court sets, that's when, if AD is not bailing them out, just going insano mode, they can be beat. So we'll see. Game 3 is Tuesday. So we don't have an Eastern Conference game before that because Celtics and Heat are taking a break. They play Wednesday.
Yeah, they wanted to. They said they wanted Western Conference to get a chance to catch up, basically.
Yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense to get them on the same level. How you feeling about the role players of the Lakers and the rest of this series? Do they have enough to? I mean, obviously, I think we all think the Lakers are going to win. But the fucking Nuggets, man, they seem to figure things out game by game, and they're never going away, and their 2 best players can make shots.
Yeah, there's got to be somebody else. I feel, Bron and AD are going to do what they do. Rondo has been huge. Caruso has also played well, and I want to also give a shout out to KCP. He receives a lot of slander, but KCP has really played well on defense. He seemingly hit his open threes, which is what you can ask from him. He's not like a playmaker or anything, but he's playing his role. Kuz was out there tonight, 8 points you mentioned, but it seemed like he was just kind of running around tonight. I think Kuz has really been relegated to cutting. Like, that's where the bulk of his offense is from. If it's not a drive and kick, wide open 3, or him cutting and receiving a pass, his role in the offense, his fit with the two dominant players on this roster is just not a seamless fit. Yeah. So I think when he's out there, it just doesn't. It's not seamless. You want it to be seamless in the playoffs. You want things to be clicking. But to his credit, he's trying. He's really been trying on defense in the playoffs. But I still, think he's, with third year saying this, I still don't think he's ready. I think he's a ways away. But his confidence is immense. So when he is hitting shots, Kuz can lock in too. But I still think, the bigs, they're going to play a part. Dwight has been really playing well, but he's got to keep his emotions in check, man. He is yelling and complaining after every fucking possession about some shit. I'm like, dude. And granted, nobody's gonna talk back to you because you're big as fuck. Like you're fucking jacked. Like, damn, bro, just relax. You're about to get your first ring. Just chill. Like, chill. Do what you've been doing. And you fucking just fouling motherfuckers. Like just relax. And it seems like Waiters is not gonna be playing. I guess he's still hurt a little bit. I think JR is just getting checks. I don't think JR is gonna play a factor at all. So I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like the Rook is going to get any run. He was getting some run in the Houston series.
Dude, he fucking got his ass rocked by Anthony Davis in the celebration. When they went to go do the butt-to-butt bump, AD was so pumped. He just knocked Taylor Horton-Tucker to the ground. And the Morris brother is smiling, picking him up off the ground. But, yeah, that was a good moment.
For sure. I'm glad you said that because that's who I was missing, Markeith. Keith has been pretty solid, but I think Keith is going to definitely have to continue hitting those threes, continue rebounding, bringing that toughness, and I think it could really play a huge factor because when the brothers were being bought out, the twins, the Clippers basically wanted to kind of keep Marcus away from the Lakers. Marcus is supposed to be the good one, and they were playing a cat and mouse. He ended up signing with the Clippers, so the Lakers seemingly had to settle on Markeith, but. Shit, Markeith is kind of playing these playoffs. Like Markeith got some game too, and Marcus is at home, so
right.
We'll see what's popping. But yeah, definitely the others are going to have to consistently positively contribute. But also AD is going to have to continue being who he was tonight.
This is his matchup to dominate.
This is his matchup. Chuck asked him in the post-game interview, "Why is it that sometimes you don't seem aggressive?" And I thought he was just gonna, blow it off and do some coach speak. But AD, he was on. He said, "Man, I think sometimes I'm thinking too much. I'm in my head." And he was just very transparent. He said, I know what I want to do, the moves I want to make, but sometimes I just defer and et cetera, et cetera. So self-awareness is the most important thing. That's the first key. So he knows, and I think tonight might be a reckoning of saying yo. Nobody on this floor in the Denver Nuggets uniform can check me. Nobody in this uniform can stop me. They're not trying bowl out here in game 3. So that's just dead. So I think AD he's going to eat for sure.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if LeBron is true to kind of what he has said since they acquired AD in that this is his team. Mm-hmm. He is who is going to make us go. And even though LeBron, had a case for MVP this year, AD was right there as well. You could have made a case. I don't think you can make a case that he's the best player on the Lakers, but he had a really great season on both sides of the ball. And so it's going to be interesting to see if as these conference finals and then into the finals, if they make it there, continue, if LeBron lets AD continue to be the man when it comes down to closing the games. Because tonight, LeBron couldn't do it. I mean, maybe he got fouled on a couple of drives, but it was ugly. And AD saved his ass from a day of talk shows talking about is LeBron not clutch anymore, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. It was already starting on Twitter. As soon as AD hit the shot, oh, my God. LeBron's the only person that can't have teammates, right? So he's the only person that can't have fucking teammates. So it's already started. I saw, it was half AD, oh, my God, half wow, Bron, you let AD get bro, shit, a W is a W in my book, just like the fucking Titans. I don't care how ugly it is. A W is a W. Shit,
especially in the playoffs against these Nuggets. I mean, that Jokic tip that you mentioned earlier on the air ball from Murray, just in the middle of the lane. He's just making insane plays, insane shots. He shoots those moon balls that just kind of fall into the hoop. And, it pisses you off when the net doesn't swish right. Like, it just swishes a different way. You're like, man, that shit was too pure.
That shit was pure as fuck. Like, this dude, that last joint over Caruso, that just like, I thought it was an air ball. I'm not going to lie. Like, when I was watching, I thought the shit was an air ball. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And then he was taking it out. I was like, oh shit, he made that shit. They showed the fucking replay and the motherfucking net didn't even move. I said, dude, you're different.
Right.
You're fucking different, bro. Like,
so Murray and Jokic combined for 55 points, while LeBron and AD combined for 57. So these two duos are really going at it. And outside of MPJ, who we already mentioned had the 15 points, the Nuggets didn't really get any help, especially not from their starting lineup. Grant had 7, Millsap 6, and Gary Harris only 3. Yeah, and, Gary Harris was really good in the last series, but so far in these first 2 games, kind of been a different player from the guy who we saw get his footing back after not being with the team for a while, and he was knocking down shots against the Clippers, but not so much anymore. Torrey Craig only 3 points, Monte Morris 9 points, and then the Lakers others, just to put a bow on this, Danny Green 11, KCP 11, and Rondo only 3 points, but he had 9 assists. Caruso 9 points and some big deflections and a big momentum play with that dunk. Yeah. And then the finger roll too, the Iceman finger roll.
AC, he's a little overhyped, but AC got game. Like, AC got game for sure. He got some game. He's there for a reason.
Yeah, and like you said, if he would have hit that 3 with about 20 seconds left, Lakers Twitter would have lost their fucking minds.
Yeah, Lakers Twitter would he would have been everybody's like Abby on Twitter, the motherfucking cover photo and shit. Like, it would have been like Caruso with Jordan, like fucking defending his shot and shit. Yeah. Like,
it would have been great. We missed that, but maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
And I went to the Lakers home opener this year, all the way back in, what was it, October or November 2019, when fans could go to games and stuff. And the Lakers fans, they didn't really like this team yet. They were still kind of on the fence about LeBron. AD wasn't playing great. But Caruso, they already loved Caruso from the previous year. And, I mean, that was like the only guy they were cheering for on opening night. So definitely, a cult following out here in L.A.
Yeah.
But, another nice game for them. Lakers up 2-0. Let's switch gears and go to the Eastern Conference, where they've already played 3 games. And the Miami Heat lead the Boston Celtics 2-1. Heat, of course, had the 2-game lead, and they look to be in control of the series. Then Boston has the now infamous locker room yelling match. Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown kind of going back and forth, and Marcus Smart reportedly busting out of the locker room door saying, "Man, y'all on that bullshit." But then the Celtics responded. Apparently, Brad Stevens met with, Smart, Brown, I think Tatum and Kemba. I guess they had a breakfast or dinner together and hashed some things out. And before we get into the series, how do you feel about the locker room thing being a big deal? I think, obviously, if reporters are there in the bubble or even outside a locker room here, like, if you hear something like that, you can usually tell joyful banter compared to teammates arguing and getting into it and being upset they lost 2 games in a row. Some people were mad that the media reported it. I'm not of that thought process. I think it's okay. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. And, I mean, I expect it to happen in locker rooms. So just kind of your thoughts on that whole ordeal.
Yeah, I think that's just a part of the times that we're in with social media and quick updates, and reporters have a lot of access, and they're in the locker rooms, they're outside the locker rooms, they're in the hallway. Everybody's looking for that next scoop or that next story per se to just keep people engaged. Like this, there's only so much you can report on from the bubble.
Right.
And so I think, in locker rooms, that happens. Like, it fucking happens. Like, we don't hate each other. We're not about to quit on the team. Like, you have disagreements. Jason Tatum came out and was like, if we weren't upset, like, I think that would be more of a problem. Like, we had just gone down 0-2. We blew another second half lead. Like, yeah, we're pissed off. And I think we can all see Marcus Smart. He definitely someone that wears his emotions on his sleeves. So, yeah, he probably was fucking mad as hell and wanted to fucking let some steam off. You know what I'm saying? And they had to have, one of those telltale come to Jesus meetings. And if I'm a reporter and I'm outside and I hear this shit, I'm like, oh, fuck, what the fuck's going on? Shit, I'm going to fucking tweet about this to my followers and let y'all know what's up. And I think that just added another chip to the shoulder of the Celtics to, not get fucking down 3-0. I mean, Miami Heat have been the darlings of the bubble. They've been the talk of the town. They came out and went up 2-0 on the Celtics, and I think they really had to kind of look inward and say, like, yo, like, hold up. Like, we're getting these leads. We're just not sustaining them. We got to finish a game. We got to figure out how to come together and get one, basically. So I don't really have a problem with the reporters putting it out there because of their proximity. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't something that was hearsay. It wasn't something that they speculated. They were in the fucking hallway. They heard it, so they reported on it.
Right. And like you said, if they weren't angry after going down 2-0, then they might be guilty of being the Rockets or Clippers and just teams who have no heart and go home early. So the first two games where you kind of hit on it as the Heat obviously won those games, but the Celtics controlled those games for the most part, and then late runs by the Heat, some big shots by the likes of Jay Crowder and Tyler Hero. Mm-hmm. The role players of the Heat have really been the key to the series outside of Bam's block to end game. Was that game 1 or 2?
I think it was game 1.
When Jason Tatum tried to dunk on him. And I mean, you've seen the block if you're listening to this. Man. And Bam's hand was flat above the rim, and he somehow just got that shit out of the rim.
He said 2 of his fingers went numb.
Wow, I believe it. I mean, he's lucky he didn't break his damn wrist.
Right, word. That shit was crazy.
And Tatum tried to dunk it on Bam. A great ending to a great game. But Jimmy Butler really has been quiet so far this series, but until they need a bucket late, and then he seems to be able to get to the rim and get 2 points in some sort of way. Like in the last game, I don't know, he just willed that ball in. Like he's
one of those dudes who just say, "Yo, go get a bucket." You don't know what that means, what that looks like. He's just somebody. Okay, I got you. I'll go get a bucket. Shit ain't gonna be pretty, but I'm gonna go get 2 points. Like straight up. And he's able to impact the game so much more than just like scoring. Just his hustle, his defense, his leadership, deflections. Because they had the Celtics looking terrible in those final minutes of game 1 and game 2. It's just, at that time, it looked like I saw a whole bunch of Celtics. They have so many guys who are just ISO scorers, right?
Yeah.
Jason Tatum can ISO score, get you 20. Jaylen Brown can ISO score, get you 20. Kemba can ISO, get you 20. Shit, Marcus Smart can ISO, get his. And it just looked like 4 or 5 ISO players on the court playing pickup. You know what I'm saying? And they needed to figure out how to come together and gel as a team. I don't know how big of an impact Gordon Hayward's return had in their cohesiveness. But yeah, they looked a lot more fluid on offense because game 1, it looked like a fucking pickup game. Like, we know all y'all can hoop. Right. That don't mean like you're a team. Like, how do you come together and bring those talents to mesh collectively, you know what I'm saying, for the greater good?
Yeah, and Jason Tatum kind of took some heat for taking a step back 3 late in the fourth. That he took the game-winning 3 instead of attacking the basket. They went to overtime, then the Heat ended up winning. And the Celtics, they were stymied by the Heat zone in games 1 and 2. And then game 3, the Heat kind of went away from that zone and only played it a few possessions. So that'll be something to watch for, see if they bring that back. The Heat like to play their zone where they put some like Jay Crowder and Jimmy or Derrick Jones Jr. up at the top. And they kind of play like a 2-2-1 with Bam protecting the rim. But like I said, game 3, I don't know if it was because Hayward was back or maybe because Grant Williams was playing a little more for the Celtics, who him and Wanamaker, the two rookies, and then the Heat, they got young guys all over the court. They got Kendrick Nunn, who is basically unplayable.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine we see him anymore this series. But then again, who else are the Heat going to play? But Nunn and Iggy are giving the Heat nothing. Like Iggy's not playing great defense. He looks washed up out there.
Jay Crowder was the prize of that trade for the Heat.
And I wonder if Spo will give Solo Solomon Hill a chance in some of Iggy's minutes, because at least he can knock down shots and looks a little younger than Iggy.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a solid defender too.
He is. He'll try.
So it's going to be interesting to see. I guess we can go ahead and get into predictions for these series moving forward. Sure. Let's stay with this Heat Celtics. You and I both had Celtics in 7 last week during the show. Now that it's a 2-1 Heat lead, Rich, what's your prediction moving forward?
2-1 Heat lead. Miami's looked good, man. They've looked good. But I'm staying Celtics in 7.
Oh, okay.
Celtics in 7.
Okay, and damn, this isn't going to be a very controversial segment, because I agree with you. Miami's offense just gets stagnant, and you mentioned the Celtics do at times, but the Celtics have more bucket getters.
Yeah, they got more talent. Period.
And I thought in Game 3 a big difference was Jaylen Brown was aggressive off the catch. He was attacking the rim and making plays that way instead of, just kind of catching the ball, pump fake, and then making his move. He was making his move as soon as he got it. And maybe that's the reason the Heat weren't in the zone as long too. Just kind of didn't work out with the Celtics in general being more aggressive. Tatum, you've come to expect him to get 25, 27 every night now in the playoffs. And, of course, he did that. But when Jaylen can give you 25 and Kemba and Smart also give you 20, it's going to be tough to beat the Celtics.
I think yesterday all 4 of them had 20.
Right.
20, crazy.
And not to say that the Heat can't do that. And the Heat did make it close at the end, but for a while the Celtics controlled that game, and it was like at a 15-point lead most of the game until that final run. And that has been the Celtics' kryptonite, is closing the game out, and we saw it again.
Yeah.
So if it's a close game, I like the Heat's chances, but I think the Celtics have the better team, have the better players, and I think they can fight back. Miami has one battle-tested player in Butler. Crowder, maybe. Iggy, yeah, but we just talked about how bad he's been. Yeah. But it's a lot of new guys on both sides. So going to be interesting to see which young guys rise to the challenge. And like you, I think it's going to be the Celtics still in 7 games. Should be an amazing series the rest of the way, no matter what.
Yeah, I think Stevens is going to definitely probably shorten his rotation a little bit. I think Game 1, he threw out Romeo Langford, the rookie from Indiana, and I think he had a stress fracture or something. He had to leave, so he's not playing. But you got Wanamaker, and he's kind of had this revolving door between whether Enes Kanter or Robert Williams is the first big off the bench. Now Enes is a bucket. I'll give Enes Kanter that. He can score that bitch, but he don't do shit else. He can't defend. He doesn't really rebound. And Robert Williams, on the other hand, is very athletic, very jumpy. Putbacks, alley-oops, or what have you. So I think, Brad Stevens, looking at the matchups, seeing, who is more playable, basically, when Tice needs a rest. Because, Enes Kanter is getting exposed, barbecue chicken on the defensive end, but he offsets that a little bit because he can fucking go get buckets. And Robert Williams gives you more defense, but, can't really create his own shot or post up or anything like that. So it's going to be interesting. But like you said, I think Boston just top down has more talent, and they're going to pull it out.
All right. Now, how about your Lakers? They're going to close this out in 4, 5? How you feeling?
Man, I initially said 5. After Game 1, I went to 4.
Okay, same.
After tonight, I think I'm going to go 5. I think Jokic and Murray just got one in them where they just like go nuclear and they just, leave it all on the floor, get that respect, that series clincher game, like Donovan Mitchell, like leaving it all on the floor for Utah, even in the L. So I'm going to go 4-1 Lakers. And I think that their series is still going to handily end before the Eastern Conference, and the Lakers are going to get a chance to chill for a couple of days once again.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think this was the Nuggets' chance to steal one. I think time and fatigue is going to finally catch up with them after playing 2 7-game series and just coming back from 2 3-1 deficits. It's been remarkable, but I think the clock has struck midnight and Cinderella's turned back into a pumpkin or whatever the hell happens in that movie. And I think you're not going to see LeBron be as bad as he was down the stretch in a close game. So I'm taking the Lakers in 4 with all due respect to Denver Nuggets and what they've done. Now, I want to give you the last couple of minutes, the crosstown rivals, the Vegas favorites to win the NBA championship. Basically been the talk of the league ever since Kawhi Leonard decided he wanted to go home to Los Angeles, team up with Paul George.
You're from fucking Riverside.
Moreno Valley.
You're from the Valley, dog.
And, Paul George from Palmdale. Go to the Clippers. Not necessarily the ideal team for LA kids. But the two guys from the IE, so maybe that's why they feel, the Clippers is okay. It's a little different. They're LA outcasts.
Yeah, LA outcasts for sure. IE, Inland Empire kids.
And, they assemble this team with the Morris twin. They're joining Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams, 2 6-men of the year. Reggie Jackson, Landry Shamet had a good season last year. And to almost the surprise of everyone, now let me say, once the series got going, I picked Denver in 7. The Clippers blew it. They've still never made a conference finals. Anthony Davis has played for the Lakers 1 season and has more conference finals than the Clippers franchise. Rich, tell me about the Clippers.
Man, these motherfuckers, man. These motherfuckers was in casinos in Vegas talking shit on social media. All this cap, man. Just to fucking, man, that was just it was sad to see. I mean, as a basketball fan, I think I can speak for all basketball fans saying I wanted the battle for LA. I wanted that shit to happen. That shit would have been lovely. But one side of the motherfuckers couldn't hold in their end of the bargain. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't even make it there. Paul George. You know what I'm saying? This man, you know what I'm saying? I just don't know.
Do you think Paul George has a doo-doo stain in his pants from when he caught the ball in the corner? Right before he dented the backboard?
That shit, the fucking dude, this is what you come with? You fucking you leave Indy, you know what I'm saying? You go to OKC, you come to the Clippers, you know what I'm saying? You got billboards and shit. I'm coming home. You're from Palmdale, my dude. Stop it. We all know you wanted to be a Laker, but we'll let you slide. And he's just, I was like, dude, like, is this dude just fucking like, he's like a poor man's Chris Middleton damn near. Like, I'm like, dude, you keep, they keep harking on these 2 amazing wing defenders, Jamal Murray is cooking their ass.
Hey, look like Jamal Curry.
Look like Jamal Curry, motherfucking the third brother, right? See, he light skinned with a taper, he can pass. So motherfucking Jamal Curry was cooking their ass. Paul George is nowhere to be found, and I don't want to hear no fucking excuses, man. Backtracking the shit. We didn't come in for a champion. Yes,
that was weak. That was weak.
Yes, you fucking did. Y'all motherfuckers have billboards around the damn city. Take back LA. All that shit. And Kawhi, I don't want to say too much because you don't really talk too much. You don't really yap your gums. You just play ball. But, dude, you had some billboards, too. You had motherfuckers thinking like they was going to buy some damn New Balances and shit, running around LA and them bitches Vice City. No, dude. No matter how much success you have, no matter how much, times the Clippers may win, as someone who formerly was a Los Angeles resident, that shit is a Laker town, and it will always be a Laker town.
No
the
question.
black and white Clipper jerseys are ugly as shit.
Yeah.
I don't know who the fuck is wearing those. Y'all choked. Pat Beverly was a non-factor in this damn series at all. Montrez became unplayable. Lou Will looked like he was still at Magic City. Like, it was just so many factors. Doc's ass. They would go on like a run, give up a 20-0 run. They cut the timeout. Doc's what the fuck happened for, dude? Like, motherfucker, like, we're all happy and shit. I'm like, bro, like, the jig is up.
His third 3-1 lead blown.
The jig is up on Doc. It happened with T-Mac. It happened with Chris Paul. It happened with fucking this team. You know what I'm saying? The jig is up with Paul George. He's not, I don't think he's who we've made him out to be. Who the media's made him out to be. I don't know if he really wants that smoke. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I think his worst decision was leaving Indiana. Like, dude, you were able to be the darling of a small market that would have adored you. You know what I'm saying? You probably wouldn't have won the title or anything, but you would have been like Reggie. You know, they would have loved you. You know what I'm saying? You would have had some playoff success maybe. But, you know, I'm big on accountability and, you know, just owning up to your shit. And it's always an excuse. It's always a problem. You know, I'm an advocate for mental health and, you know, talking about what you need. And he came out with some struggles he was having in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? But it's always interesting when there's always issues when things aren't going well. You know, when things aren't how you expect them to be. And Kawhi, honestly, in my mind, looked checked out in that second half of Game 6. He looked checked the fuck. He looked like he was ready to pack his shit and go. I see no chemistry. I see no true camaraderie aside from Patrick Beverly just fucking talking. And he's one of those motherfuckers that, you know, the motherfucker that just talks, but you know they're talking, but you're not really listening to what they're saying. They're just talking just to talk. He's that guy. I don't really see that true camaraderie, that true, like, bond. And I don't know if Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, like, they're those lead by example types who galvanize. But at the same time, like, you got to be able to build a brotherhood and bring the young guys in and make them feel a part of a culture. Like, I remember, like, growing up, like, you could have a senior on your team, right, who averaged 4 points a game, right? But he's the OG, and when he speaks, you listen and you respect it. And, you know, that's OG. That's the role Udonis Haslam plays with the Heat. And with the Clippers, I just don't know who that voice of reason is, who's holding people accountable, who's just pressing folks. Like, it just seems like they was just out there hooping, thinking like, you know, shit's sweet. We're better than everybody. We're going to fucking, you know what I'm saying, show up to the party and just, you know, ball. We're that AAU team that's just going to eat McChickens at 2:30 with a 3 o'clock tip because it's good. Like, we just still going to run on your ass. Like, but no, that shit didn't happen. Like,
no chemistry.
Y'all are still JV. Lakers are varsity. Y'all are chicken.
Oh, no chemistry, no leadership. And it was evident in those, you know, final couple of games as Denver made the comeback. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you kind of hit on it, but their defense was so highly touted. They had 2 all-defensive players in Kawhi and Pat Bev, and they got torched by Jamal Murray. I mean, that's just what it is. And it comes down to having heart, having leadership, having someone on that team saying, this is not fucking happening. We are winning this game. Yep. That's what Kawhi is supposed to do. That's what we've seen Kawhi do. But for whatever reason, it did not happen with this team who carried themselves like they were championship or bust all season, no matter what Paul George says now.
Yep.
But they never earned it. They never looked like they wanted to earn it. They were content with load managing. The guys, they barely played their best lineups together throughout the regular season,
right?
Even into the bubble. Lou Williams, I love you, but the mistake you made, just not a commitment to the team by being seen at Magic City. You know, I don't know how cool you and Jack Harlow are, but he can't be posting that shit.
Yeah, he blew up your spot big time, dog.
Yeah, and then tweeted him when they lost.
Tweeted after, meet me there, don't beat me. Like, bro.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Come on, bro.
What? And, you know, I would usually think Montrez is the galvanizing force, but he was so trash, he couldn't do it. Just like Pat Beverly. Pat Bev's fouling out in 10 minutes. Ain't nobody listening to you.
Nobody's listening to you.
Especially when Jamal Murray's busting your ass for those 10 minutes. So disappointing for the Clippers. Hate we missed the Battle of LA. But we still have 2 very good series going on. And we will talk to y'all next Sunday. For Rich, I'm Mason. This has been the Backdoor Cut Show. Shout out to Nothing But Net channel on Dash Radio and the Barn Burner Podcast Network. Tighten up, baby.
Tighten
Peace
up,
out.
baby. Lake Show.